if you're sending out emails, what's your subject line look like? And what's the first 6 words of your email? Time management. They're absolutely ruthless with time management. And again, it goes back to what we started talking about first thing. How do you start your day? A lot about accountability. You have to be accountable. And accountability starts with yourself.
Well, Mark, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it. I know we've gone back and forth a few times, got you finally pinned down. Here we are, and we're going to talk about sales and how to become the best salesperson, and also how to do your best prospecting. So thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you for making time for me. And I apologize, man, this has been hard to get together, but you know what? You know, it's going to be epic when it's been hard to get together. And we finally
You bet. We got to make it worthwhile for everybody. Let me do a quick intro. So, Mark, you're an author of A Mind for Sales, Daily Habits and Practical Strategies for Sales Success. You were named America's Best Sales Speaker in 2023. Are we going to wrap that down for 2024 as well?
We're in the agenda. We're working on it.
Where did your passion for sales come from?
You know, my passion for sales really came because of passion for people.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't want to go into sales. I did not want to go into sales. I wanted to be a disc jockey. But problem is you can't tell your parents when you're a disc jockey in college, that's where their tuition money's going. And I only got into sales because of the police department. Yeah, the police department got me into sales. What happened was I got too many speeding tickets and I couldn't afford car insurance. So I had to get a job that supplied me with a company car. Now, to say I was an overnight success, wrong. I failed miserably because I had no clue what I was doing. Finally, a boss sat me down and said, "You're not showing any interest in the customer. You don't really understand the customer. You don't really understand. You're not taking time." And that slowly began this evolution. And now I love sales because what is sales about? It's about helping people. Well, what could be more exciting than being able to wake up in the morning and have the opportunity to help people? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. So now let's start from the very beginning. In your book, you talk daily habits. Let's talk about daily habits that we need to be used to using to maximize our productivity.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, you talk to any top performer and they will tell you that they have a very set routine as to how they start the day. And I firmly believe this. Before we hit live and we began recording, we were talking about football. We're talking about some great football players, and every great football player has a very set routine, and it's absolutely key. So you've got to. It starts with what time you get up in the morning. It's a very firm set time. I get up at 4:45 every morning, and I go into a very set routine for about the next 90 minutes. And what does it do? It gets my day off on the right start.
Do you do time blocking for the day?
I absolutely do time blocking.
Okay.
Again, because if you don't, again, this is another trait of top performers. If you don't time block, and again, how you time block is up to you. You know, I tend to break my day down into about 2-hour segments, 2-hour blocks. I know others who say, I can't break it into 2 hour. I have to break it into 1-hour blocks. Fine, it's okay. But I break it down with very specific activities that I want to get done before each one of those blocks is up. For instance, I have one that I call the 10 a.m. rule. The 10 a.m. rule is something I swear by. And that is, you set your alarm, you take your phone and you set an alarm for 10 a.m. Now, that's not the time you get up in the morning. I hope you're up way before that. But the objective is by 10 a.m., you will have accomplished something significant. There's something magical about this. If I can accomplish something significant before 10 a.m., it is amazing at how much more motivated I am for the day. If I accomplish something significant by 10 a.m., that may be I got to make a couple client calls, I got to make some prospecting calls, I got to get this proposal out, I got to do something, but something major. If come 10:05, I get a phone call from somebody in distress or something, and I'm getting my head chewed, my day falls apart. You know what? I've still had a good day. Yeah, think about that. I've still had a good day. And again, this is a trait of a top performer. They get the big stuff out of the way early.
Are you saying that we should be doing our cold calling early in the morning, or do you just think that goes by your personality and how you feel?
It goes by your personality and goes by the market that you're calling into. For some people, it might be first thing in the morning. For others, it might be in the afternoon. Now, you have to pick the window that fits for you. But
Yeah.
here's what I have found. You have to make your calls. For instance, metrics. I'm a firm believer in metrics. And
Mhm.
all top performers have metrics. What are metrics? These are the activities that they do every day and they measure them. I have one metric, 5 conversations a day. I know that if I have 5 conversations a day, my pipeline's going to be full. Things are going to be happening. That's it. I keep it very, very simple. It's not the number of dials I make. It's not the number of emails I send out. It's conversations. I may have to make a lot of dials to get those conversations, but I'm going to have 5 conversations. Now, if I don't get 5 conversations, we'll say I only get 4. I don't beat myself up, but I know that by the end of the week, I got to get to 25. I got to get to 25. And I do that. And again, if I'm just laser focused, too many times I see salespeople, they want to measure anything and everything. Just because it can be measured doesn't mean it should be measured. And and the other piece is this, they get so many things they're measuring that they can't figure it out. I've just called it down. One thing, 5 conversations a day, period.
Okay. What are the key analytics you think a top salesperson should be looking for?
Yeah, the top analytics come down to very simply this. We all want to put numbers on the board. We'll we'll
Right.
we'll use a sports analogy. We want to run up the score, right? We all want
Right.
to run. We want
Sure.
big commissions, we want big sales, et cetera, et cetera. But in order to do that, you got to run the plays on the field. You got to run the plays on the court. And
Mhm.
in order to run the plays on the court, you probably got to practice them. Okay. So the analytics that you're going to be measuring, because I look at this, for instance, if I'm not making, if I'm not having 5 conversations a day, I got to go back and ask myself, do I have enough prospects in my pipeline? Am I sending out enough email? Am I generating enough phone calls? Am I doing so? In other words, I start breaking it down even more granular. But the key thing is for me, I know that it's 5. Now, again, that's just magic for me. It may be 2. I was talking to a salesperson the other day, and they said their number is 3. If they have 3 conversations, just 3 days a week, in other words, 9 conversations a week, for what they sell, for the type of transactions that they're working on, that works for them. Great, fine,
Yeah.
fine. But the analytics are absolutely important. This is why you do have to measure things. I know how many phone calls I'm making a day. I know how many emails I'm sending out a day. I know what my marketing activity is. We measure that. We measure that incessantly. But
Yeah.
that only feeds the metric that I'm measuring, 5 conversations a day.
That makes sense. Yeah, we have at our company, Commercial Brokers International, at 5 o'clock every day with the new agents. We sit down and go over, okay, what did you do today? And then we go through, we break it down for them so they can starting to show them how to analyze you. How many
Right.
cold calls, how many connections, how many meetings. If they did an email, click through rates, all of it, we go through all of it so they can kind of analyze their day. And, I was just with an agent about an hour ago and, she's struggling a little bit. I said, well, walk me through your day. What's working for you? What's not working for you? And she goes, I don't know. I said, okay, I want you to analyze that tonight. Then you and I are going to sit down and go over it tomorrow because they're just doing what they think is right. They're not analyzing it.
I,
And so you've got to be successful.
what you just said is so spot on because again, it's so easy for the day to get control of you.
Yep.
The day can very quickly control you. You
Mhm.
have to control the day. So in other words, you break it down. I know in my analytics, in other words, 5 conversations a day, I know that we have to send out 2 major email blasts a week. I know that I've got to be sending out about 20 to 30 emails a day to various people. I know I've got to be probably making 15 to 20 phone calls a day just to get 2 or 3 conversations. Now, hopefully, I'm going to have a couple of meetings in there. See, so because again, that's how I'm measuring. It's 5 conversations. But see, I break that down. So when I'm not hitting my 5 conversations a day, I'm going back and I'm looking at them. Maybe the emails we're sending out are not getting the open rate. They're not
Mhm.
getting. Do I have a really good CTA? What's my call to action? Maybe I need to frame this up differently. Maybe I need to change this. And I'm constantly tweaking and working on things. The idea being is because ultimately I want to be able to achieve my daily metric as easily as possible, right? I mean, isn't that
Yep.
isn't that the case? Yeah, I want to achieve it as easily as possible. But I got to continuously be working just like an athlete on the field. They're continuously working every day to make sure that their game performance is as good as it can be.
Yeah. I was just at the Commercial Real Estate Influencer Summit. I was giving a talk about, it was on YouTube, and because of this show, actually. And we had some great people in there. But, we're talking about, analyzing before you even put it out. I said, how many of you analyze your thumbnail? How many of you use a headline writer? Blank looks. Nobody used a headline writer, and they didn't even know what it was. And I'm like, wait a second, a headline writer, you can, yeah. So you put, and it's free. I said, guys, it's free. Put the subject line in there, tweak it till you get in the 80s. If you can get into the 90s, great. You're never going to get to 100, to be my guess. But and analyze your thumbnail, and and this is obviously for YouTube, but there's a lot that you can do before you put the content out as well.
I want to jump on that for a moment because this is what I find so interesting. It's amazing how the thumbnail, we design all this on our desktop, right?
Yep.
Or our laptop, and it's a bigger screen.
Yep.
And everything looks bigger.
Yep.
But you have to remember, the majority of messages coming through on a smart device.
Yep.
And it's amazing how our messages can look pretty dumb on a smart device. And so you're right. I mean, that headline reader, these types of things, I always say that it is so critical if you're sending out emails. What's your subject line look like? And what's the first 6 words of your email? Because you know what? If they're pulling it down on a smartphone, that's what they're looking at. They're making the decision as to whether or not to click or delete based off it. You could have the best email possible, but if the subject line isn't right, isn't optimized, the first 5 or 6 words aren't optimized, they're never going to see it. Boom, done.
Yep. Yeah, you got to think about, I call it above the fold, right? When you open
Yes.
your device, the first, if it's going to be 5 or 6 words or the first sentence, it's key. And, because that's all we're reading, right? And so you got to be thinking about it before you send the content out.
Yes.
Let's talk about characteristics of a top salesperson. What do you think they are? What does that look like? And I think it's going to be different for a lot of people, but just kind of in general.
Yeah, it is going to be different because again, I see top performers of all different personalities.
Yeah.
And this is what I found is that every top performer has a few deviations on what I'm about to say. One, time management. They're absolutely ruthless with time management. And again, it goes back to what we started talking about first thing. How do you start your day? Do you have a very specific set of routine activities? 2, do you go through every day? What are your objectives? What are the outcomes? I have right here a piece of paper that I read every morning that lists the critical things that I dial in on and I focus in on. And I ask myself this question: what I'm about to do today, is it going to help me achieve my R or my G? RG. R is revenue. Is it going to help create revenue for me, or is it G going to help achieve my goal? And oh, by the way, the revenue drives the goal. The goal drives the revenue. So amazing. But I asked myself that, and because here's the whole thing: it is so easy for us to become distracted, and this comes back to analytics. This comes back to, I had somebody grab me. I was at an event Saturday, and he came up to me and said, "Man, I tell you what, how many impressions do you get on your LinkedIn posts and your YouTube videos?" I'm getting XXXX. And he starts going into this. And fine. But I had to stop and ask him, how much revenue are you making as a result of that? And there was a sheepish response. See, it wasn't. See, because it was easy to measure, he was measuring it.
Yeah.
If it's not translating into revenue. Now, I get it. Sometimes we got to play the long game. I get it. And our reputation arrives before we do. People look at, what's the internet have to say about Joe? What's the internet have to say about Mark as to whether or not I want to take this phone call from them? I want to set up a meeting with them. But I'll tell you what, we can become so engrossed with that we fail to realize it's about conversation. I want to have a conversation with you. Nothing's going to happen till I have a conversation with you. And that's what top performers understand. And they know that one conversation will lead to another, and yet they're not all straight line. I was talking with a top performer a couple of weeks ago, and he said it had taken him months and months and months to put together a major deal. He said he had over 700 contacts. He was trying to put together a deal for a Fortune 100 company. He said, Mark, I had over 700 contacts. Now, it wasn't 700 different people, but he said there was probably about 50 or 60 different people that I had to work with to be able to put this package together for them. Whoa, wow. But he stayed in the game because the size of the prize was worth it. And he got the prize. And he got the prize.
Yeah, it's sometimes a long game. It's worth it. You have to decide that early on. And
But
go ahead.
yeah, I want to talk about long game because it's easy for us to all play the long game.
Oh yeah.
But you can starve to death playing the long game, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have those mix of deals, right? You got to have those long-term deals. This is going to be a long play, and you got to have some shorter ones that you can get done quickly so you can feed. Because I'll tell you what, bad salespeople have hungry kids. Just saying. And I got to be able to feed the family. So don't consume yourself. Don't get so caught up. I'm only going to play this long game, this mega deal. Yeah, it's great. Hey, I want my name on it too.
Yeah.
But boy, I'll starve to death along the way.
Yeah, but we got to watch out for is, and I get this with newer agents, Mark, is like, I say to them, they say, can I do this deal? I'm like, well, you're gonna make like $1,500 if you do this deal. Yeah, but if I do 10 of them, and I'm like, but yeah, but you can go do one, and you're building your business. And we've got to be careful about doing these small deals that are taking our time and not focusing on bigger deals. And that's something that I get that in newer agents mostly. And so that's I want to throw a little red flag up there as well.
I get that any agent when they're having a little bit of a slowdown.
Yeah.
I was with an agent the other day, and he said, "Yeah, it's just been rough. It's just been rough. I mean, interest rates. It's just," and he was starting to take too many small deals,
Yeah.
and he needed it a little bit from a motivational factor. So I understand that.
Yeah.
But I challenged him. I said, okay, what are those medium and what are those big deals that you're still working on? Because you got to be careful, because otherwise you're gonna get so down in just chasing small deals that you will never get yourself back up on top. Because the time and effort to close, like you said, that $1,500 deal versus that 15,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and you start figuring. And here's what a lot of newer agents don't think of is their time. And they don't put their time in there. If you want to make 20, 40, whatever, $100+ an hour, you got to start figuring that in. You've got to understand your value. And I think a lot of, especially newer salespeople, don't understand their value that they're bringing to the table. And so that's something we really push with our newer agents, especially. It's key.
There's a thought on that because they don't understand the value of prospecting.
Right.
Because they're chasing that, I want to make $100. So they chase that end deal that is really small dollars. But they don't realize that there's time they need to be spending getting the prospecting, laying the groundwork, getting the bigger opportunities out there. And that's what's absolutely critical.
Yeah.
I tell you what, when I see agents that are just not closing deals, I got to go back and ask them, how much time have you spent prospecting in the previous quarter, previous month, and there's almost always a direct correlation. No, it's not always. I mean, there's always bluebirds that fall in. I get that, but it's amazing. You got to put the work in. You got to put the reps in. If
I tell
reap the rewards.
Yeah, I tell our new agents, if you aren't prospecting 98% of your day, you need to be at least doing 70 cold calls and warm calls. And I mean, there's companies here in town that they have their newer agents doing a couple hundred, which I don't see how. We want our agents to really understand the marketplace better than everybody else, and then to cold call and focus on that market. And so their calls are going to go a little bit longer because they're having more conversations. It's not just a quick call and hang up. But there's strategies to be successful in sales, and I'm not sure just doing 200 phone calls is really the way to go.
I totally agree with you. I think that's too much off off of that end. I found it's somewhere between about 60 and 80. Now,
Yeah.
again, everybody selects the one. Like I said, mine is less just because the size of my deals I'm working on, et cetera,
Right.
et cetera. But here's the question. It's about consistency.
Mm.
It's about consistency. This is why I say anybody in sales, if you have not read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, go get the book right now and read it, because it's doing the little things consistently every day, day in and day out. You may have a gym membership. You don't get in shape if you only go to the gym once a week. And this is what I find so many agents. Well, I made prospecting calls last week. I devoted one whole day to it. Hey, excuse me, that was last week. Hello.
Yeah.
And it's got to be repetition, repetition, repetition.
Yeah.
The way you get in shape is you work out every day. You
Yeah.
work out every day. Yeah, things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's kind of break it down. What do you think really separates a good salesperson from a great salesperson? Is it the consistency?
I think one of the single biggest things is the consistency. I talked to a number of top performers, and they say, Mark, I lead a very boring life, absolutely boring life. At 9 a.m., I'm going to be making these types of calls. At 10 a.m., I'm going to be making these types of calls. At 1 a.m., 1 p.m., I'm going to, and it's just routine. It's absolute routine.
Yep.
And they do that, but they get in. That is one of the single biggest things that I find, because it keeps them from getting caught up chasing the squirrel, the shiny object. Oh, let me go take a look at this. Oh, let me go look at this. This could be really good. And all you do is you wind up wasting an hour, hour and a half. Or I'm gonna talk to this person, that person. Now, here's something I tell people: if you are struggling making calls, don't call your mother. Do not call your mother, because your mother's going to say, "Oh, you're working so hard. Oh, why don't you come on over to the house tonight for dinner?" And yada. No, hold it, hold it. I don't want sympathy. I don't want sympathy. I've got to have that. This is why I love the work that you do, because you hold people accountable.
Yeah.
And again, this is the difference between average and top performers. I have to do a program here in a few hours for a large firm in Australia. And one of the things that the owner stressed me was accountability. And I said, oh, believe me, I'll be talking a lot about accountability. You have to be accountable. And accountability starts with yourself, but you have to be vocal with your accountability in terms of who else are you accountable to. This, again, is why I love the work that you do. Nobody is successful. Tom Brady, greatest of all time NFL player. Now, think about this. How many coaches did he have? And at one time, I heard that he had like 7 personal coaches. 7 personal coaches. If somebody who can be as good as Tom Brady can have 7 coaches, and I don't have one, wow, is that an indictment or what? We become the sum of who we hang out with the most. Our moms were right when she said, Mark, be careful who you play with at recess today. Because we become the sum of the 5 people we associate with. Hang out with brilliant people.
Tom would go home, his wife was even more successful than he was.
Yes.
And so you don't want to come home and tell her, yeah, I kind of slacked off today. And, I don't know her, but I don't think I'd want to cross her. She sure looks, she's a heck of a businesswoman with everything that she's done. So, so you're right. Surrounding yourself with people that are at your level or even more so.
Yeah.
It's key.
It's amazing how others around you will lift you up if you allow them to lift you up, and you in turn help lift them up. This is why it's so critical, key. You can't, again, top performers don't allow negativity
Right.
to set in. They don't have room for it. They do not have room for it, because they are driven with one set goal: to achieve their goals. That's it. That's it. And they do that in a manner that is singularly focused with a level of commitment. And I mean, see,
Mark, I was just at the Commercial Real Estate Influencer Summit, as I said. These are a lot of top commercial real estate brokers around the country. And there's several new agents there. I was so impressed with the way some of these people that are making millions of dollars a year would sit down with these people that are just getting started and give them the advice. To surround, I mean, the commercial real estate influencers is the summit is full of that. Everybody involved is everybody shares their ideas. You've got to find organizations like that that are willing to really help give you the leg up and the advice. And most of the people that are, I mean, we've got top brokers from around Bob Knackel out of New York City. I don't know if you heard of him. He's one of the top brokers in the US. I saw him sit down with a table full of brand new agents and go around. I I don't know how much time he spent, but I left for lunch, came back, he was still sitting there.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
priceless.
I love that because here's again, top performers are willing to give of themselves. But here's the
Yeah.
whole thing. This is what it will irritate any top performer. Too many people sit there and, oh, I want to listen to this person. I want to read this book. I want to do this. I want
Yeah.
to do this. Hey, stop. Go out and do it. Do it.
Yeah.
If all it took was for us to read a book, watch a video, or attend some sort of conference, we would all be skinny, rich, and happy. But we're not
Yeah.
because we're
Exactly.
not doing it. We're not doing it. And again, you know what top performers do? They don't try to do everything well.
Right.
They have a few things that they do exceptionally well.
Mhm.
And you got to find what is that exceptionally well activity? What is that exceptionally well thing that you can do that's going to separate you from everyone else?
And that goes back to your analytics, right? Every day, every week, every month, every year, you should be sitting down going, this is what I'm good at. I need to double down on this. And this even goes with your content marketing. And if you're not good at some, either train yourself to get better, hire somebody to train you, or hire somebody to do it. You know, because your time is that's not where your value is.
Oh, when I see people sitting there, oh, I gotta craft this email message or this marketing message. I go, why? Hire it out.
Yeah,
Your time is too valuable to be
yeah,
wasting doing. Yeah, but you know what? I'm just taking my evenings to do this. Stop, stop.
yeah,
Wrong, wrong. You if the activity you're doing, the action that you're doing doesn't deliver the revenue per hour that you need to make, don't do
right,
it, period. Outsource it. Oh, I
yeah,
can't afford it. Well, I'll tell you what, if you can't afford it, then you really got to question why you're in the business. Because
right,
again, it goes back that I hate to throw out the line, but
yeah.
bad
And because
agents.
Fiverr, you can get it done for dollars. You know, it can go, and you'll have it back within a couple hours. You know, so there's really no excuse for it. You just gotta make it happen. You got to understand your value in what you're trying to do. And if you don't value yourself, your clients are not going to value you.
You know,
You know?
there's something interesting there. Too many people think about doing it. Top performers just do it.
Yeah,
And again, I see this so often. I can be on the phone with top performers and I mention something and boom, I literally see, boom, there it is suddenly appearing in my
yeah,
inbox. They just do it right then.
yeah,
Average performers, well, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And they never end up getting to it. And as a result, they're busy. They're busy. Well, what was it I supposed to, what was I, what, hold it, just
yeah.
stop. Just do it.
Yeah,
Do it.
you know, it's kind of like a snowstorm, right? You're out there with your snowplow and you're just going super slow, and oh, I'll do that next time. Well, when you come back, it's going to be even higher, and you know and you're just constantly pushing stuff up in front of you that you're never going to get through. I was watching a video with a lady by the name of Cody Sanchez, and she said she talked to a billionaire, and she goes, "I talking about doing something." He said, "Yeah, let's do it." He's one of those guys, just boom, get it done. She goes, it wasn't 2 minutes later, I had an email in my inbox from him going through the topics that he wanted to talk about. He goes, it's just, it gets done fast. There's no, okay, I'll get around to it when I get around to it. Now, keep in mind, they probably have a few assistants. And I know people are watching this going, a billionaire probably has 10 people around them. We get it. But, you know, it is that mentality is what we're talking about.
But it's a mentality of simplifying things. They
Yeah.
don't, eh, we can screw up a two-car funeral pretty easily.
Yeah.
And it's about simplifying. When you simplify things, and again, this is what I find top performers. They simplify it down to the most granular thing, and boom, then it's done.
Yeah.
It happens. When we overthink things, that's when I think we get ourselves into trouble because we want to get this right. Well, I would much rather get something out That's 97% right
Mm-hmm.
versus taking 3 hours to make sure it's 100% right. Just
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, we
There-
see that especially with our newer agents when it comes to a lot of their marketing content. It's to me, it looks perfect. To them, they see, oh, this is off. I like just hit post and go back to your cold calling. Just get it posted. Make sure grammatically everything's correct. There's nothing really wrong with it, but it's not perfect in your eye. Nobody else is going to notice it. You notice it because you're looking for it, and so you've got to quit with the perfectionism. Um, you know, Here's something that I get. We're a smaller firm. We've got 15 agents. And we talk to other agents at bigger companies. They go, well, there's just no way for you guys to compete against us big firms. And I'm like, you know what? Our little company has 7 international clients going right now. How many does your big firm have going out of your office? One. I'm like, okay, so why can't we compete, especially now with AI, with everything? But what are strategies that smaller companies can utilize to compete against these bigger firms?
Yeah, don't think for a moment you can't play big ball. You can
Yeah,
play big ball because it comes down to who you are. AI is the great equalizer out there.
it is.
There are some AI tools out there. And oh, I don't know how to use AI. Go talk to your kids. Go hang out at the neighborhood high school. Find kids.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, AI is the great equalizer. And this is what's absolutely powerful because I can create, and the internet has done a wonderful job. So small shops, you bet you can play big ball because at the end of the day, it comes down to personalities. It comes down to, am I being seen as that person?
Yep.
And I may be, you say you got 15 agents. Yeah, but look at the number of clients. But look at what you do to create visibility. So then you have to stop and ask yourself, how do I create visibility? And again, visibility is easily created, and I can outsource the ability to create that. I have a marketing person on my team. She is strictly responsible for social media, strictly responsible. But we have been able to create a presence in social media that is absolutely incredible in terms of the leads, the opportunities, and the level of success it brings my company.
Yeah.
I could do all that, but you know what? If I did do all that, I wouldn't be able to do anything else.
Yeah.
And agents, this is what you got to stop and ask yourself. What are your most valuable activities? It's either putting together a deal or getting ready to put together a deal. That's really it. And then you got to stop and ask yourself, what is it I got to do to make that happen? Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's my team reminds me all the time because I spend a lot of time speaking around the country and around the world. I have 3 things that I'm responsible for, and that's it. 1, talking to clients, talking to prospects, those 5 conversations a day. 2, creating really good insights for my keynotes. I'm doing a keynote this evening for Australia. Or 3, delivering content. That's it. That's it. And my team, they beat me up all the time. Mark, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Not a
Oh,
good
but I
use of your
want it.
time, huh?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But that's accountability.
Yeah.
See?
Well, I
And I go,
think
wait.
one thing that, especially in commercial real estate, is and agents get beat down on this in the big firms. It's the agent, it's not the company. And we tell our agents that Commercial Brokers International, we look at our agents as a client, and obviously their clients is they're bringing in as well. But you know, you've got to have you've got to understand that you are the revenue generator as the agent. You are your future. You've got your own back. Buckle down and look at it and go, listen, it's me and you, kid, the person in the mirror. Let's go do this. And you don't need a big firm behind you. If you need the structure, they're a lot better, I think. But smaller firms is something you can look at as well.
What you're touching on is mindset. Because I tell you
Yeah.
what, your mindset. This again is why I say you got to be so structured in the morning. I in the morning look at every conversation I'm going to have, and I go, how am I going to influence and impact that person? I saw you on my calendar. How am I going to influence? What can I share? What are the insights? I begin mentally preparing myself for my conversations, the calls I'm going to make today, the conversations I'm going to have. I mentally prepare because my whole objective is this. I know that at the end of the day, I want to have influenced and impacted each person I've come in contact with. Now, some days I can make calls, and nothing happens. But if I have earned the right, the privilege, honor, and the respect to be able to talk with that person again, I've had a great day. I've had a
Yeah.
great day. And I just keep doing that, especially for new agents. It can be so frustrating. How do I build that? Hey, it's your goal. Your goal is to create conversations, to be able to earn the right, the impact, the influence, and the respect to be able to talk with that person again. And if you do that, you know what? Things will happen. It's going to take time. But what I also find is this: your attitude going into a call predetermines the results you get coming out of it. You've seen this, I'm sure. People, they're calling and they have a bad attitude. So they get
Yeah.
somebody on the phone and they don't know, the dog don't hunt. They don't know what to do with it.
Right.
If I go into every phone call expecting something is going to come out of this.
Yeah.
Something's going to result.
You know, that takes me, I want to move on to prospecting, but I want to ask you this because you brought it up. How do I stay motivated?
How do I stay motivated? I love taking a piece of paper and every morning just write down, what are you thankful for? It's that little piece of gratitude. In fact, one of the things I always say is send out an email every morning to somebody that you're thankful for. I got one this morning from a person who I know I don't know if they learned it from me or not, but they said, "Hey, Mark, I just wanted to send you a note to say thank you. I'm thankful for you because we met a couple of years ago and you did." And it's just, wow, you know what? It made me feel good. And I know it made that person feel good. But here's the whole thing. That's a very simple, easy way. The other way is this: take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, and on one side, write down 10 clients you've had, 10 deals you had. Now, maybe you're new. You've only done 2 or 3. Fine. And then on the other side of the paper, don't write down the size of the deal or the project, whatever it was. What was the outcome that they achieved? Oh, they were able to open up 2 new locations. They were able to move into a better, write down the outcome and give yourself a hug. Go, that's good. Because ultimately, that's what every transaction that we do, what does it do? It's because we're trying to help a business. We're trying to help somebody move and upgrade and improve, do something better. You see, my definition of sales is helping others see and achieve what they didn't think was possible. If I'm able to help you see where this site is going to help you in your business, and I can help you achieve that, I feel great.
Yeah.
I've done my job. That's putting the deal together. That's what jazzes me every day when I wake up. How can I help those people I'm going to come in contact with?
Yeah, exactly. The one thing I do is I go through the list of clients I've got and, my progress reports, where am I at with them, and so I think for me, I can go and look like, okay, we're close on this one. That really gets me jacked because I live for closing these deals and going back to old clients and then reviving them, say, okay, it's been a while. Let's talk about getting you going again. Keeps me motivated. Now, if I've gone several months without closing a deal, then it's a battle, but it's a challenge.
But even if you've gone several months, go back and look at the activities you've done. Okay, but
Yeah.
you know what? I've stayed in the game. I've had that. I've had dry periods.
Yeah.
But I keep making the calls. I keep having the conversation. And I look at the activity and I know something's going to come of this. For new agents in particular, it becomes more about the activity versus the outcome.
Right.
Because again, did I make my calls? Did I make my calls today? Did I do this? And that's what you're gonna and you know that if you do that enough, things will happen. Things will happen. Always
I
does.
agree. That's why I want to move on to prospecting because I listened to some of your videos and your ideas are incredible. Let's talk about the most effective prospecting techniques. I cannot talk today. I guess that's why it's on a Monday, huh? For today's real estate agents.
Here's what it comes down to. You got to put them first. You
Yeah.
have to put them first. I'm going to throw out a couple quick tips. One, we were talking about it earlier in terms of an email, the first 3 or 4 words of the subject line, the first 5, 6 words. So key. Don't sit there and say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so." Forget it. That's going to come across as a salesperson. Guess what? Boom, delete. I gotta approach you with a question, a comment, a something that is relative to you and your industry, what your need is. I'll give you an example. I had a prospect reach out to me. It was an inbound, didn't go anywhere. Doggone, it wasn't going anywhere. And then I went and did a little bit of research. I went and did a little bit of research on the company, the industry, and I go, I had a lot of experience. In fact, I probably know some people that they know. I sent him back a 2-sentence email, and he wrote back. He says, "I'm biting. Let's set up a meeting. Let's talk." I love that. Now I can't
Yeah.
say everyone does that
Sure.
every call, but the deal is how do I dial in? How do I connect? This is why when I say when I'm making my calls and I'm doing my emails, I try to stay focused by industry or by geography or by size of deal or something. Because if I can get kind of a repetition going, if I can get kind of a pace going, it's amazing at how much more successful I can be. Because then I get in the groove. A couple things. I want to come back to email for just a second, because here's the whole thing. When you craft that email, if it can't be read in one swipe on your smartphone, it's too long. It's too long. Too long. Short emails. Remember, what's the objective of your email? Just to create enough interest to generate a phone call. That's all you're doing. Now, one email in and of itself isn't going to. I'm going to probably have to send you 5, 6, 7, 8 emails. I closed a big deal recently, and it took me 46 attempts to get it over about an 18-month period. 46. But never once did I repeat the message. And never once did I say, hey, I'm just checking in. Oh, by the way, checking in, I'm not a hotel, and I'm not the front desk clerk, and forget it. I'm not, hey, I just wanted to bounce this to the top of your list, or let me send this to you again. I always send them something fresh, something new. And again, it's slowly but surely going to sell you, but you got to stay in the game. Got to stay in the game, because they may not be responding. Even text messaging. I had a gentleman, wasn't related to real estate, but this was a gentleman who was texting me probably every other week for probably a year and a half, 2 years. I never, ever responded. One day I'm having a team meeting, and my team goes, you know what? We need to get the, and I go, boom, hey, here's the guy. Guess what? We called the guy, and he's been a client. I mean, we've been buying from him ever since. He could easily have given up.
Yeah.
But he kept coming at me.
How
So
often do you recommend somebody reach out to a client?
Well,
They're not responding.
Yeah, this is good. This is going to vary. If I'm dealing with somebody senior level, we'll say it's senior VP, property management, whatever. I may only reach out to them every other week or every third week even. If it's somebody lower down, I might be reaching out to them every week. So it's going to vary. Again, but if I'm bringing you a valid message, you may be in a very fast moving segment. We'll say it's data warehousing right now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
huge, fast. I may be emailing you almost every other day, because here's a new insight, here's something new. So again, it's going to vary by industry. It's going to vary by the type of deal, the geographical area, et cetera, et cetera. But the key is, how many ever times you think you can reach out to them, you can double it. Because why? Because you're bringing them value. You're bringing them. You're not saying, hey, I want to make the deal happen with you. You want to make the deal happen with you, but you're sharing with them an insight. Hey, I just saw this happen. Just saw this. You're asking them a question, and what are you doing? You're developing because remember, every agent, every broker is competing against a plethora of other agents and other brokers out there. I got to stand apart. So I got to bring you insights that other people aren't. And I'll tell you, when I do that, it's amazing how I quickly separate myself from everyone else out there. And besides, it's a lot more fun.
I get you. There's one thing you said is getting to a decision maker, getting to an underling. What trick do you use? Because that's something in commercial real estate, and our agents complain all the time. I can't get to the decision maker. Do you have any advice that we can follow on this one?
Yeah, there's a host of things. You may not be able to get to the decision maker, but you get the gatekeeper. I don't call them gatekeepers; they're door openers. I love asking the door opener, gatekeeper, the exact same question you would ask the decision maker if you could get them. Because many times what happens is that gatekeeper, door opener, is truly that. They're the assistant, and they're screening you, and they're saying, hey, wait a minute, if you are the right, if you're asking great questions, okay, I will get you on time. So that's one technique. Two, I love going through, it's an automated system. You're calling in and it's an automated system. There's only three departments that ever answer the phone. Three, that's it. Security, safety, HR, and sales. Oh, you can add in their accounts receivable. Okay, so we can say it's four. But here's the thing. Three. Oh, push three for sales. Push three for sales. Now be right up front with them. Hey, you know what? I didn't really want to reach, but tell me a little bit about who are your perfect customers? How can I help you? I have always found that I can do that. And then I say, hey, who is the decision maker? Who's the person? I'm amazed at the number of times I've been able to talk to somebody in sales because I'm a salesperson and I can get them to share with me the information, the right extension, the right cell number, whatever it might be. Or they'll even actually connect me directly. So that's another trick. The other piece is this: don't blow off Friday afternoons. Friday afternoons, so many people, well, nobody really wants. I find I have some of my best conversations on Friday afternoons, especially with senior level people. It's a little more laid back, especially in the summer. Okay, we're just past summer now. I get it, but still, I'm amazed because many times they will look at you and they'll go, "Wait a minute, hold it. You're still working, and I'm working," and they'll have a conversation. Here's a technique that I love doing with senior level people. You may have a senior level person that you've had one connection with. Maybe you had one email, something like that. Send them an email on Saturday morning. Hey, I just saw this in the Wall Street Journal, just saw this in Financial Times, or just saw this, or just saw this in some journal of interest to them. And don't send them a link because they're not going to open a link. Senior level people do not open links because don't know about malware and everything else. When you say, I just saw this Wall Street Journal, fascinating article regarding real estate, and you just share 2 bullet points. That's it. Thought you might be interested. You send that to them Saturday morning at 6:30 in the morning. Now I know you can automatically set it up to go out at 6:30, but don't be lame. Do it real time. You push it. Here's what I found. Senior level people don't stop working on the weekends. They don't. Yeah. Senior level people are not working in the business on the weekend. They're working on the business. And they may be at that soccer game watching their grandkids play soccer. They're checking email. And I'm amazed at the number of times that I've been able to do this to senior level people and they respond. Now, don't sit there and wait till Monday to respond, but respond back to them an hour or two later. Hey, thought you'd like that. Absolutely great. Yeah. Knew that would be of interest to you. I don't necessarily call and ask for the meeting right then, but then what I'll do is I'll call them back Monday afternoon, Tuesday. And it's amazing how many times I get the meeting.
Mark, there's something that just happened with our company here the last few weeks. And George and I were the only agents in the office. Our head of marketing was here and she answered the phone. And this guy calls, hey, I'm in from out of town. We're looking for warehouse space. We've called multiple commercial brokerage companies. Their voicemail was full or they just didn't respond. You guys are the first to answer. Can we connect? And so we took a short call with them. They go, well, we'll be to your office in 45 minutes. I'm like, okay, come on in. We've got 2 contracts out with them right now. Then they came in, they were financials, everything was ready to go. Ideal client, caviar company, multiple locations around the globe. And, but people didn't respond.
Isn't that amazing?
It was a Friday afternoon and they've been trying earlier in the week. Nobody responded. And I thought, we spent all this time and effort to put all this content out and people call and we can't get a response. They can't get a response. So we got to watch out for that.
We do. Friday afternoons, so many times people want to clear their desk.
Yeah.
They're working on this project and they want to get this thing going. They want to get this taken care of. So don't think for a moment. Friday afternoons is an excellent time to make things happen. Yeah. It is not the time to go get your boat ready. It is not your time to go play golf. I mean,
Yeah.
be calling, be calling. Stuff is
Yeah.
happening.
What do you think? You've been doing this for a long time. I mean, what have you seen to be the most effective sales questions? Do you have any off the top of your head, or did I just throw you
Yeah.
under the boat?
No, no, it's excellent. Hey, what are the biggest challenges you're seeing in your industry today? Now, you notice I didn't say what's the biggest challenges you're facing today.
Okay.
That's lame. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
What are the biggest challenges you're seeing happening in the industry? Or how do you see the industry changing? Where do you see the industry going in the next 5 years? Why I like this about the industry is because I'm now asking their opinion. I'm just asking their opinion. And it's amazing how it just gets them talking. And then I can come back and say, so how are you going to respond to that? What are the challenges you're seeing? And it may not have anything to do with property. It may not have anything to do. That's okay. That's okay. I'm just getting a conversation going. My objective is to just get a conversation going. And then that's going to lead to something else. Here's what I find. My whole objective is to treat you like a bobblehead doll. Bobblehead doll, you touch the top of the head and it starts moving. I just have to keep tapping it. So whatever you respond to me with, when I say, hey, what are the biggest challenges you're finding in the industry? Let's use data. Man, data warehousing. Yeah, it's our biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is the grid. Is the grid going to be able to keep up with the growth? And you go, yeah. So how are companies dealing with this? See, I'm just dancing broadly. And whatever they respond, you come back and you ask them a follow-up question. You ask them, fascinating. Can you share a little more insight on that? How's that going to affect you? What do you mean by that? And what I found is this: short questions get you long answers. And if I get them talking about their industry, suddenly it's like, whoa, wow.
Yeah, I
They
can see
begin to
that.
see me, they begin to see me as a peer to them. And AI, there's so many AI tools out there, whether it be Copilot, whether it be chat. There's so many out there that you can quickly become versed on that industry as to what the key issues are, what the key things are. So
Yeah.
you can have that conversation.
Yeah. Mark, how do you, okay, so you get them start talking, then how do you structure the call after that?
Yeah, my whole objective is I want to do a couple things. One, I want to learn a piece of information about you. I've got to learn something, either about you or your company. Now, here's why. I'm going to use that piece of information, whether it be about you personally or about your business, because I'm going to use that immediately in my follow-up email. I'm going to probably use that in a voicemail. I'm going to certainly use that in the next meeting. Then what I'm coming back to is, hey, I've got a number of ideas for you, number of things that it would be worth it for us to grab 30 minutes to talk about it. And if they've got time right then, great, fine. If not, you say, hey, what's your calendar look like tomorrow? Don't go 2 weeks out in advance. Don't go 2-3 weeks out because people forget. I want to go real quick within the next day or two. And you recommend, hey, what's your calendar look like tomorrow afternoon at 2:00? What's your calendar look like at 10? You recommend 2 times. And if they don't give you a response back, they can, okay, what works for you? But you've got to get that. It's bam fam. Book a meeting from a meeting. You've always got to get that meeting, period. Now, here's the key thing. If you know this piece of information, I can sit there after the call and say, hey, great talking to you on the phone. Absolutely. By the way, you mentioned this, and you play back in the email exactly what they shared with you. And you maybe add another comment to it. What's that tell them? You listened. You actually cared about what it is that they said. And you begin to create that relationship. And that singularly is going to help increase the show rate, because again, I can't say the word no show. I want the show rate. I want them showing up for that phone call, period.
Yeah, that, I use that with our agents. I call it a link back to a previous conversation. And that's why a CRM is so important, because when you're having a conversation, you put it in there. And then when you have the next conversation with them, you link back to the original or the previous conversation. you would be surprised how well, you wouldn't be surprised, but listeners would probably be surprised how much that helps.
Oh, it changes everything because
Yeah,
now you're personally connected to them. Yeah,
yeah,
and I can play that back in an email. I can play that back in a voicemail,
yeah,
and of course, certainly when hey, last time we talked, you mentioned this. Wow, you talk about starting the meeting off on the right foot. Wow.
yeah. Powerful. I want to move on to qualifying a client because we get a lot of agents in our industry, newer. They just I want to go do the showings. Have you seen their financials, business plan? What's their experience like? No, I just want to go do the showings. I'll get it after the first or second showing. Can you walk us through how to qualify a good client?
Yeah, you got to qualify them before you do the showing
Yeah,
because otherwise all you're doing is creating a lot of windshield time for anybody and everybody. So I got to understand, what are their financials? What do their financials look like? And what's their timeline for making a decision? And the third piece is, why do they have to make a decision? Because their current lease is up, or they are aggressively expanding into this market or something. But I've got to understand, why do they need to make a decision? Those are kind of the three things. If you can pass that sniff test, then I'll probably be inclined to do a showing. But I'll tell you what, I see too many tire kickers out there, especially with new agents.
yeah,
They're out there tire kicking because they never bother to understand, you know, their financials are poor. They get terrible credit rating. There's no way they could finance this deal. There's no distinguishable need as to why they need to do this. Why do they need to do this? And three, what's their timeline for making a decision? Because again, I've seen too many agents go out there and do a showing. And what it comes down to is that prospect, yeah, they're just kind of getting a sniff for the land, but they're 5 years away from expanding into that area doing
yeah,
it. And I go, wow, I just wasted my time, man.
yeah. I send them the properties and say, listen, drive by.
Yes,
Something in
right.
one of your videos, you said the qualification on qualifying somebody. It's an opening problem, not a closing problem.
Yes.
That really
Yes.
rung true to me. I'm like, oh God, yes.
Yeah, because I mean, when I hear agents say, "Oh, I can't get these deals closed. I can't get the," I go back, hold it. You didn't open right. You didn't qualify right.
Right.
You're trying to close a deal that's just not meant to close. And oh, by the way, I hate the term closing. I hate the term closing. Yeah, I like to put a different spin on it. That is, I'm opening a relationship. Because if I do this right, this is not going to be the only deal I'm going to do with you. We're going to do
Yeah.
a whole lot more.
Especially in commercial real estate.
Oh man.
It's such a relationship business, and if you treat them right, I mean, you're a lot of people are afraid to, especially newer agents, are afraid to ask about money in the beginning, right? Because it's such a personal thing. But you have to because the landlord's going to ask for it. We always just put on the landlord, going, listen, every landlord's going to ask for this, so we need it right away. And I'll go back to that caviar company. We said that when we first met with him, we said, well, we're going to need to see, or we laid everything out we're going to need to see. They go, okay, should we just email it to you? And they just did it right there. Wasn't a problem. And so, it's just finding those clients is key. There's one last question. I know that you got to get going because you're so busy today, but are there any questions that let me rephrase that. What are topics that we as commercial real estate agents should not ever bring up?
Well,
Kill
politics.
the deal,
I mean, bringing up politics. I mean, I don't care,
especially
if you're,
now.
especially now, but almost
Yeah.
any time. I mean, just avoid it. Uh, that's even more of a hot potato than I think you can talk about religion before you can talk about politics, although sometimes religion identifies politics. But anyway, that's it. It's I have found, if I'm being personal with you, if I'm being personal, um, I can talk about most anything. I'm not going to go into family issues. I'm not going to go into unless you bring it up, unless you mention it. You know, and I'm always going to try to connect and associate. Now, I may not. We'll say that they bring up political views. Should I jump on that? No,
No.
no, no. Let them just share, but stay agnostic. Don't
Yeah.
get pinned down, because that's going to get you in trouble real quickly.
Yeah, we have it gets brought up now a lot, and I just feel, yeah, it's kind of an odd time in our history, and then I just move right back onto the deal.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what? My line is this. You know what? Irregardless, the sun is still going to come up in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful
Exactly.
for that. Yeah.
You know, and one other thing is, if you know somebody that they know, and they may not have great things to say about them, you know, I always kind of pivot away from that one as fast as I can too. Because, I haven't had that kind of experience, but you never know. And I move right back to the deal. You've got to stay away from it, because you hear agents that get into the weeds on this stuff, and it can leave a bad taste in their mouth. You want to keep it to the business.
Right. Exactly.
So, well, Mark, I know you got to get ready for your next seminar. So, what's on the table for you next?
Well, what's on the table for me is I continue just to reach out and help people. We share a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, YouTube, helping people, because I believe sales is not a solo activity. You're an agent, you're a broker. It's not a solo activity. It's a team sport. And be thankful of the team you're on. Lift up the team around you, help impact them. So along with that, I'm working on a couple more books. I'm working on one around the whole sales hunter mindset, because I firmly believe our mindset determines the results we achieve. So working on that. It's just, you know what? Every day is a kick in the pants. I absolutely love it. I've got a virtual deal here in a couple hours with Australia, on the road this week, and it's fun.
I do it. And, I'm going to put the book on the Joe Kellinger website, so they'll be able to find that. I look at your YouTube channel. I send it to our agents. Go, hey, look what Mark said. Because it's amazing to me, Mark. I can say something that, I think is brilliant. I've learned it from you. And then I just am like, you know what? Why do I try and do this? Because they're not going to listen to me, but they'll listen to Mark. So I send them the link to your video.
You know what? It is. And it is. It's the more we listen and learn from each other, the smarter we become. And besides, what is it? We all learn and listen by sharing with one another. This is a wonderful industry we're in. I love it. Wake up every morning, I'm jazzed. That's why, it's funny, but my website is thesaleshunter.com.
Yeah.
And with the last name Hunter, Mark Hunter, you're right. I had to put that in the name of my business. Yeah. You're right. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate everything you're doing for our industry. I know everybody that I'm mentoring, I send your links out to, and some of our agents here, I send them to. So, Mark, thank you very much, and good luck on that seminar this afternoon. And for those of you watching, thank you for doing so. If you could, please give us a like, and if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe.